good afternoon, good evening. We have full house today from different parts of the world, Africa, different parts, different countries in Africa, India, California, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, Dubai. If I'm missing and Moscow as well. So yeah, good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're dialing in from. Welcome to VCTV, which is a venture capital TV from La Token Venture Capital Television, spreading technology and entrepreneurship. That's what we say. Perfect. So today we're going to discuss about investments in food tech, e-commerce, food tech related e-commerce activities, and supermarket delivery investments as well, logistics. So yeah, before I jump into introducing my speakers for the evening today, my name is Sonny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of La Token based here in Singapore. I host VCTV Monday, Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore. So, and it's very exciting times. We started in 2020, now in 2021, and things have changed, but we are still there and we are diversifying the way we work with VCTV. Today, I'm going to be supported by my co-moderator, Nathan. Nathan, sorry. Hi, Nathan. Welcome on VCTV. How are you today?
Very well, very well. Good day, everyone. To the audience, I hope you guys will learn a lot from this session. I mean, you probably have the best of the best in all their industries here, active investors, and we look forward to having a great time and having great feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are streaming live on social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website. So yeah, to give maximum cover to all the speakers today. Today also we have an entrepreneur from Africa. He's going to present his startup as well on the second half of the session. Let's start with the panelists today. I'm going to start with Vandana. Hi Vandana, welcome back on VCTV. How are you today? Short intro and background, please.
Yeah. Hi, Sunny, and thank you for inviting me to this panel once again. Happy to be back here. Hi, everyone. This is Vandana from Gurgaon, India. Today, we are celebrating Republic Day in India. Please do watch it. It is live all over the world as well. So introducing myself, I have worked in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund there, did a lot of investments there, came back to India, did some investments, went back to advisory. Convanto is a global entity in terms of geographies. In terms of sector, we are sector agnostic. Typically, we do a $1 million to a $25 million deals. So please do feel free to reach out to us. And thank you once again.
Fantastic. Welcome back to VCTV again. Kweku, welcome on VCTV. I think this is your first show with me as a moderator. So please help introduce yourself and your background, please.
Sure. Again, thank you guys. Thank you, Latokin, for having me. So Kweku Essien, I'm a Ghanaian national, but also lived in Canada as well, where I worked there for about 5 years. Currently based in Ghana, where I'm running a small family office here, where we're looking at investments, mostly in Africa, where I sort of invested in prop tech and other sort of tech platforms here. Currently sort of a venture partner as well with Mansa Capital, where we assist startups here in Africa with strategy and with their capital raise as well. Again, thank you all for the time.
Perfect. Welcome back on VCTV. Next, I'd like to go with Dimitri, who is joining us for the first time, I guess, on VCTV from Moscow. Hi, Dimitri. Intro and background, please.
Hello, everybody. Glad to see you today. Such a pleasant team today, good projects and good specialists. So I'm actually represent Faster Capital. We used to invest in different sectors of classic business and economy. So today I'm looking here for the good projects from food industry and food supply industry, especially if it's some software solutions. And also I'm representing and working with some blockchain capital companies as LT Capital and in blockchain capital. So if some companies use blockchain solutions, we're also glad to look into it. And our ticket size is from 100 up to $500,000.
Perfect. Ticket size. There you go. Thank you, Dimitri. And welcome to VCTV. William, I'm really hungry. Welcome to VCTV. I see your background. I'm like, I've started, I feel like I can grab that corn and something else like tomatoes and chicken and what else, why not? Welcome back on VCTV. It's been a long time I've actually spoken with you. We are neighbors, but still I haven't spoken with you on my panel. How are you?
I'm good, Sonny. All right. First of all, thanks to La Token again for inviting us to participate in this event. Okay, so today I'm wearing different hat. Okay, so since the topic is on food tech and delivery, so we would like to share one of our venture with all of the audience. So it's called So Fresh. All right, So Fresh started during the first lockdown in Malaysia last March. Okay, so my partner, who is a marine engineer, actually was stuck at home because nobody is allowed to go on sea. And his wife actually complained that they can't get fresh produce, okay? And therefore, instead of complaining and listen to the wife nagging, she said, why not he start one? Okay, so over the first 3 months, we actually cash generative, generated probably about 100,000 US of sales during the first 6 months of in business. Okay, and yeah, today so happy to share how we get into this business and the prospect of food delivery or grocery delivery. Thank you.
Wow, I'm looking so forward to know about that. Thank you so much. Next, I have Kartik. Hi, Kartik. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, and I'm good. Good to see you guys again. Once again, Gary. Good afternoon. Good morning. How have you been?
Hello.
I represent a couple of foreign offices, family offices from the UK, primarily in the health tech, fintech space. A couple of VCs based out of Qatar and UAE in fintech and in edutech. And in this space, I have my personal interest in the food tech space, created and built a food tech business from India, which is into dehydrated foods, supplied it to certain parts of the world, and currently invested in a food delivery network in India as well. So both of them seem to be doing good. So yeah, active in this space personally as an individual investor.
Wow, fantastic. And thank you so much. Tushar, over to you, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny, for inviting me today. And it is always great to be on the show with you and others as well, Gary and Karthik and everyone. So I am an investor with a number of family offices and co-invest with VC funds. We invest across the region, ASEAN, Middle East, India, and basically APAC. But we also help US and UK based companies. In my personal experience, I've worked for private equity practice at Deloitte and Touche for Brand Capital, which is the largest VC fund in India as per number of deals, and also headed treasury at Sistema, which is the Russian conglomerate, and was CFO with the company owned by Guggenheim Partners. We look at mostly tech deals, but we are very bullish on food tech, especially cloud kitchens, and anything from $0.5 million to $5 million is one set, and from $5 million till $25 million is also our specialty. So it is good to be on the show today, and I look forward to a very exciting discussion.
Cloud kitchens, interesting. Would like to know more. Thank you and welcome back on VCTV. Next, I have Harsh. Hi, Harsh. Welcome back. How are you today?
Doing great. Glad to be back with such a diverse crowd today, from across the world. So introducing myself, I'm Harsh Shetia. I'm currently working with our ventures as a venture partner. We are completely sector agnostic and we invest up to $10 million of funds across all range of startups. Personally, I also work as a growth partner and a business advisor for a lot of startups, helping them identify the right models. And we're actually currently working with a hyperlocal logistics company right now, which is primarily into food delivery and other delivery. So I believe this session is perfectly placed right now for us.
Wow, interesting. Thank you and welcome back on VCTV. Last but not least, Gary, welcome back on VCTV. Good morning. How are you today?
Good. How are you today?
Absolutely fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great to be here. So it's great to see so many familiar faces too. My name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 17 companies. I've had 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion about 21 months ago. And I'm also the co-founder of Viva with David Yang, the founder of Vavi in Russia, a Silicon Valley-based company that does AI HR tech. I also started one of the first e-commerce consulting companies. I raised $6 million for that. I'm an investor involved with 3 separate funds, my own money, my friend's money, and I'm a little bit of the money in there, but I'm actually the managing director of that fund. We're starting a $100 million impact fund out of Atlanta, Georgia. I am also the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, AI quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. We curate companies from around the world across multiple vertical markets that are looking to go global. So it's great to be here, and I love to hear about startups that have AI as the new electricity. So we're excited about it. Thank you.
Perfect. Exactly. We're having a startup who's going to pitching later on from Africa. So yeah, you get to know and ask more questions. So we're talking about food tech today. So how food tech has obviously emerged and evolved, especially during 2020, and logistics and e-commerce. So we're going to cover 3 topics, and let's start with some opening remarks with Vandana. Vandana, obviously we had a chat before going live. You wanted to share something about food tech as a start. Let's start with you, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sunny. So I think food tech and logistics startups have raised significant funding last year. And it is quite a lot of funding which they received. If you notice, the travel sector, wedding sector, real estate sector, hospitality sector, all this had a very deep fall during the pandemic. But food tech and e-commerce took a rise, including cloud kitchens. Because naturally the restaurants had closed down, and we had to buy groceries also online. So e-commerce platforms like these supermarkets, which the one that William is running, came into practice. So I feel this sector is a hot sector. It is rising up. And we all are looking into investments in this sector. And until 2021, these 2 sectors are really going to be one of the hot sectors in the industry.
Perfect. Thank you for those opening remarks. Kyoko, I want to ask you next, because you want to focus your discussions around Africa. So let's start with your opening remarks about the logistics space in that region that you focus on.
Sure. So, I mean, with Africa, there's 60% of the world's arable land is in Africa, but obviously it should be the breadbasket of the world, but isn't. And one of the reasons for that is predictability, right? And so that's what tech can enable, right? So there's Trigger Foods, which is sort of a logistics platform that connects, smallholder farmers to sort of transparent markets with vendors as well. So essentially that's creating predictability, right? With respect to, the source of the foods and also the market as well. There's a robotics as well in South Africa, which just raised 17 million, which is providing predictability using robotics, drones and whatnot with respect to, sort of the farming aspect of things, so sort of understanding your crops or sort of the weather as well, pests and whatnot as well. And all of this brings in the financing as well, because as you can provide that predictability, the financing aspect then comes in as well, because the bankers are very conservative. And so that's really the element that needs to be sort of, or at least one of the elements that needs to be really sort of that the tech is going to enable, which is predictability.
Absolutely. So which geographies do you invest in, and what's the ticket size, if I may ask?
Sure. So I'm small. So it's a small family office. So 50,000 to about 500,000 are sort of our ticket size in terms of investments. And we're typically looking at sub-Saharan Africa. So Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and obviously my motherland, Ghana.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Next, I have William. William, let's talk about the food delivery, the fresh produce company that you've just recently invested in. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that this was created during the lockdown, and unfortunately, we are in the second hard lockdown. Okay, so and interesting enough, we also declared a state of emergency. So I think Malaysians are very, very used to buying stuff online now, be it gadgets, be it household items, and of course food. Okay, so averagely, I order at least once or twice. Food delivery, okay, to my home. And then, of course, one thing come into our mind, that is food security and food safety. Okay, so I think we are also very concerned about, of course, the upstream. Okay, so if you have joined another Latoken session, and you can see some vegetable behind me, so we are also involved in the upstream. Okay, so Kweku actually mentioned about predictability. Okay,
Yeah.
so in a controlled environment inside a vertical farm, we are very sure what are the inputs and what are the outputs. Okay,
Right.
and once the vegetable is produced, we want to we plan or we and our most likely we want to bypass all the middlemen or intermediary or even supermarkets. Okay, and that's where So Fresh come in. Okay, so Fresh has implemented a few initiatives, and they will launch a subscription model. All right. So, for
Right.
example, if the consumer or household want to order fresh vegetable, okay, we are able to deliver the same day as we harvest, because we plan to build a few vertical farms around KL City, for example. All right. So technically, all our produce will reach your plate, okay, within the next 3 or 4 hours from harvest, depending on the logistics side. So we want to make sure that the entire system is value chain is covered from the produce onto your plate. All right. So therefore, we are also trying to connect food manufacturing. All right. And to produce, if we have excess vegetables or even certain contract farming, we will produce sauce. All right. Like pesto sauce, like kale sauce. Right. So that is what we plan to do in the entire food chain. Okay. So I think technology
Okay.
stands an important part. Thank you.
Absolutely. It reminds me of my village. When I'm in my village, I just catch the fish from that ponds and cook straight to the plate. Thank you, William. Tushar, over to you. What about cloud kitchen? You just mentioned cloud kitchen. Please enlighten our viewers about that cloud kitchen.
So, cloud kitchens or ghost kitchens or dark kitchens, they are essentially not in the high street, and they are used to make food and ship food directly to consumers' homes or offices. There is no dine out place. There is no, you can't sit and eat there. So basically, it can be opened at a cheap kind of location, and there are three kinds of cloud kitchens: an independent kitchen model, which is a digital native like Uber Eats, maximum one or two brands, instead of a lot of brands. Then there is a delivery brand model, which uses data-led choices, and it's mostly a distribution-driven model. And the brand gets built because of demand. The third one is a shared cloud kitchen. It's a large 10 to 20,000 square feet kind of place with the 20 to 30 brands. And the companies usually just provide cooks for cooking their part of the recipe, their part of the food which they operate on. So technology is being extensively used in these cloud kitchens, like billing, kitchen management, inventory control, warehouse, CRM, online ordering, mobile ordering, and stuff like that. And
Right.
It's a very popular way of having a low cost, low capital, less capital intensive business. But at the same time, because people are now used to getting quality food within half an hour at their places, so it is also competitive. So you have to be mindful of delivering quality food and in the right time.
Right. Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Tushar. Karthik, let's talk about food tech and e-commerce trends covering Middle East.
So Middle East, and I'll go with what Kweku was also talking about, Africa being the bread bowl and should be the bread bowl of the world. And that's where the entire food tech cycle began around 20, 25 years ago. And that's what's come into the Middle East in the last 5 years. Unfortunately, like Africa, Middle East also doesn't produce a lot of food commercially, and it's a net importer of food. Last 5 to 7 years, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi have gone into extensive farming improvisation right at the bottom of the value chain to improve efficiencies. Hydroponics is something that a lot of businesses in this part of the world have started investing in. Organic farming as well as dehormonized, which is genomized farming, is something that businesses have moved in. When you move up the value chain is where you see a lot of investments in the Middle East, primarily into food tech processing, which is dehydration of food, which is one of the businesses that I have invested personally, is about dehydrating certain Indian food flavors for people who live in different parts of the world and are not able to access. Typical 200 to $300,000 investment, which has already grown up by around 9 times in last 3 years and continues to draw business all the way from United States, Canada, and Western Europe. So that's one sector. HPP, which is again food processing technology, at a business, at a start of at a base fund of around 700 to 800,000 business on a rental revenue basis has already become a 7 million business being accessed by food processors from different parts of Middle East and Europe. A lot of investments have happened in the e-commerce space in food, but that I don't call it a core food processing or food tech business. It is an allied or an ancillary service sector which can support any business. And the reason it has come in is primarily not only because of the pandemic, but also because of shorter visiting cycles and change in lifestyles. So e-commerce delivery companies like InstaShop, which just now, maybe around 3 months ago, sold for $360 million. It was set up at a fund of around 1.5 million, sold at 360 times. I don't know how they managed to get the valuations, but today Middle East has 9 such companies that have gone and into catering to a 20 million population. 9 companies catering to 20 million population is a huge business. In the food delivery space itself, Talabat, Uber, Zomato, meal deals, Deliveroo, etc., are making a beeline with almost more than a 7,000 member workforce operating in UAE. So all of them are running for the valuations. I don't see individual or small players coming in this space, but a lot of small players are entering in the cloud kitchen space, as Tushar was talking about. Specifically, restaurateurs in Middle East, in UAE, in Bahrain, in Qatar, are working on cloud kitchen on shared basis, both online, offline, trying to make sure that food is delivered on a typical DTC model with pre-booked orders or pre-booked deliveries to make sure efficiencies are turned and the entire value chain is planned accordingly. A possible investment in this space for a Mexican food partner trying to make sure that he's able to cater to the entire UAE with three kitchen networks is something that we are working on. We still haven't finalized it. But a lot of changes happening in this space. I wouldn't benchmark it only, or I wouldn't base it only on the pandemic, but I would say it's a change in lifestyle, changing behaviors, and changing consumption habits of people that has led to food tech. But the real efficiency of food tech would come in when the per capita productivity or per hectare productivity of food, life cycle and perishability of the food, and efficiency of the food chain is improvised. Yeah. That is when the food tech will become more relevant.
Right. Got it. Thank you, Karthik, for those opening remarks. Harsh, a lot of food tech and agri-tech startups in India. Just share your insights about the investment that were done in the space in 2020.
Absolutely. So India has actually seen a huge kind of swings in the food tech space, right? We've had tens of millions of dollars, some companies even going bust despite all that investment, right? So the current recent trend is food tech gamut has been divided into 2 formats in India. One is trying to make the farm produce more easily accessible to the urban population. That is one aspect of it. And the second aspect of it is having local products from departmental stores or restaurants, getting them delivered to the end customer, right? These are the primarily 2 aspects of where the food tech is. Another third, which Tushar was pointing out, was cloud kitchen. That's the third element of it, right? So the first element has definitely done very well. So one of my friends is one of the senior leaders in Ninja Cart. They've done a very phenomenal job in trying to make that democratizing the entire process, because what happens is the farm produce tends to get wasted a lot, right? So what they've done is they've been able to structure the entire thing so well that the retailers, etc., they've completely got rid of the aggregator markets which used to be there, because of which there used to be a lot of price hiking. They've managed to democratize the entire process and made it much more simpler by getting the farm produce accessible directly to the retail markets. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is obviously, the delivery of food from the retail shops as well as restaurants to the home customer. So obviously we have big players like Zomato, Swiggy, etc. They've already become big in this space. I don't see any new competitors coming in this space, but cloud kitchen is definitely where a lot of potential is, because it's not very expensive to set up. You can get a place on rent, and once you have operational efficiency, you can actually rely on these players like Zomato and Uber Eats. They'll help deliver it to the end customer, and they'll drive the revenue for you. In fact, they have been a huge supporter to a lot of these home kitchens as well. You see a lot of women, cooking a lot of stuff at home and delivering with the help of these Zomatos, the Swiggies, and the Uber Eats. So it's been an interesting model at the way they've done, and they've really expanded the category at a
Yeah.
point where. So I would actually say that even to if you look at women empowerment, these guys have played a major role in that, because having to start that up by yourself would have been extremely difficult. But now with these Zomatos and Swiggies giving you customers on a platter, it's created a phenomenal opportunity for them.
Yeah, and I love the Swiggy ads that I've seen. Thank you so much, Harsh.
Yeah.
Dimitri, let's talk about some of the recent investments that you've made in the space.
Yeah, so let me shortly tell about current situation in Russia and Eastern Europe regarding food delivery and cloud kitchens mostly, because I think it will be interesting to all of you. So since the COVID, yeah, we already talked about it here. All habits of the people changed totally, because like Russian people, you used to visit public places like restaurants, etc. Because for us it's like ceremony, and we have maybe some more slower life when in Asia. And right now all is totally changed, and we can see what cloud kitchen industry is rising and growing pretty fast. So what we are looking for, we are looking for some companies on our market or worldwide maybe, what have a good development and good potential for growth. And these companies need to have a strong software part, because the delivery have a many huge like divisions. It's like and we mostly concentrate on the like final part where consumer can get the food from a good mobile applications, and how it's realized in the companies, because it's major part. Some companies they have a can have a great logistics, good time delivery, but if where software and a mobile application not developed enough or not like useful for the users, we can totally have a bad business, and can close the business and
Great.
don't have any revenues. So this is what we are
Perfect.
looking for. All must to be all must to be combined in a good shape, and of course we looking for the companies who learning good lessons from the Asian market, because I said from the clouds kitchen spaces and delivery Asian way going forward. So if a companies getting this experience, and we also improve some procedures and don't make any mistakes, as was in the Asian companies. So we like pretty interested to invest to this company.
Perfect. Good to know about trends in Moscow as well. So, coming to Gary, autonomous technology is a crucial part of the food delivery. Let's hear from Gary about the technology. There's a lot of potential. Gary, over to you, please.
I'm sorry, one more time, Sonny. I
Um,
cut out for a second.
AI autonomous technology is a crucial part of food delivery. So let's talk about AI and machine learning as a big part of
Oh,
this.
I love that. Yeah. So, I mean, so we look at it. We look at where we are today. during the beginning of this pandemic, we understood that there's some critical issues with our supply chain. Here in the States, we had issues with farmers with their perishable goods not being able to sell them, having giveaways because there was no place, the restaurants weren't open effectively. So, I mean, think about it. The whole idea of the supply chain, the whole idea of hyper-personalization to get the better product to the customer at the right time is about artificial intelligence. So from the point of production to the point of being able to order this using your mobile phone, it's about how do we streamline that system? How do we make it more effective? How do we make it more personalized? And how do we make sure that we get the right product to that restaurant at the right time? So let's talk about where it's interesting. Things like traceability from the time of production, understanding what product I have exactly, sustainability issues. Where was that product produced? Then labeling in the States now required. Is it genetically modified or not? So those are the kind of things. And people, if you look at it today and talk about the organic movement, I mean, there's a huge push for restaurants to have organic products. One of the statistics I read recently, it said 57% of the consumers would actually change their behavior if they understood that they could get, they could order organic food. And so labeling is critically important. And then the thing with hyper-personalization, how can we make it easier for people to order? How do we change it into a more robust experience for that consumer? How do we make sure we predict, think about it. If we know we like Indian food and chicken vindaloo, where are those restaurants? And I love chicken vindaloo, by the way.
Yeah.
Where are those restaurants located, and what kind of specials are they having at what time, and where could it be interesting? And so we need to personalize it down deeper, and we got to make it easier for that consumer to be able to make the choices. What about flash deals, right? So if a restaurant understands that their bookings for a particular evening aren't right, whether it be in a hybrid kitchen or in-house, how do we be able to fill that instantly? I mean, no, we haven't really looked at those kind of technologies, right? So my kitchen's down. I don't have the right kind of customers coming in. I want to fill it up. Let's offer some flash deals. Let's figure out who we can get at what time. So that also means being more tightly integrated with some of the social media that's out there. So we're in a dawn of a very, very interesting time, from a time of production all the way to the time that it's on the plate in home. So these times it's all about data and making sense of that data that's hyper personalized for you.
Thank you, Gary. Chicken vindaloo. Love it. Thank you so much
You're
for that.
hungry, aren't you? A little
Right.
naan, chicken, garlic naan, you're all set. I know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Gary, for those insights and really amazing insights, as always. I'm going to pass the floor to my co-moderator, Nathan, to take over the discussions from here. Nathan, over to you, please.
Hello, guys. So I think I have a question for Gary first, and it goes like, in the industrial food space, in the industrial food tech, consumer food tech, and the supply chain of the food tech industry, which sector or which segment do you think is most attractive to investors, and why?
Well, I mean, the thing is, so, I mean, they're all interesting. You got to look at it today, Nathaniel. So it's, the Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole. And really it's all integrated together. So having the right kind of tomatoes. And again, I just wrote an article in Forbes magazine about genetics and gene altering and that kind of thing. So having the right kind of products at the right place, as I said, is critically important. And the supply chain, of course, if we can't get it, especially with perishable goods, and we don't get it at the right time, I mean, this stuff is destroyed. So
Exactly.
being able to streamline that system is critically important. The other thing is, then we have those extraneous variables, which is What happens if there is a pandemic and the production's already started? What do we do with that food? Well, what could be really interesting, imagine if we have tomatoes set up with a farmer and we could automatically have those sent over to a canning facility rather than going out to the restaurant. So from the supply chain on that side out, still serve the restaurant in a different way, but it takes a route over to Hunt's or one of the canning companies to make it more interesting. So we've got the key is having the insights. The key is having the sustainability, the products. I mean, as the population of the planet increases, the current population is about 8.1 billion. It's quadrupled in the last 100 years. The forecasted projections for the end of the century is 13 billion. So we're going to have a lot more people that need a lot more food and a lot more opportunities to be able to do things like cloud-based kitchens, et cetera, and a diversity of kind of food. So we're going to see a migration in food tech to things that are organic. We're going to see a migration to things that are healthier. We're going to see a migration to things that are like plant-based meat. It's happening today.
It's happening, yeah.
I mean, the goal, I wrote another article in Forbes magazine called Living to 150 a couple months ago. And I actually did a project that with some folks from Stanford on 120 several years ago. But in order to get to there, we're going to have to eat a lot better, a lot healthier than we do today, reduce the amount of starches that we have in our system, and at the same time, make it tasty. Because part of the challenge is diets suck because the food doesn't taste good many times. So how do we make that more interesting and attractive to the market? On the other thing is having the right, in terms of meat, having the right kind of, if we are going to eat meat, what we want to do is have the right kind of meat. So the technologies like, genomes and gene splitting, make sure that we got the healthiest type of meat that's available. So understanding that end of the production chain.
Okay, thank you very much for your insight and your experience. I know all this you've mentioned, technology, AI plays a vital role in segmenting your customers and all that. I want to ask Vandana this question. I mean, when it comes to the food tech industry in developing and underdeveloped countries, what would you say, based on their challenges, is going to be the key driver of investment in these sectors? I mean, knowing fully well that government is not taking an active role, but what do you think government can do or individuals can do differently to drive growth in the food tech sector in developing and underdeveloped nations?
So I think, both the developing countries and developed countries have their own challenges when they are trying to set up something. Typically in India, we need to create more opportunities for women by giving them this home kitchens and cloud kitchen based opportunities where they can sell their food on cloud kitchens. And there is a lot of regulatory issues. There are a lot of technology issues which we are currently facing, wherein the developed countries can come in and help us with these kind of technologies, wherein it can help both the countries, wherein we have talent here in terms of, the women having to cook in the kitchens, etc., but they don't have the exposure to the right kind of technology. So, I mean, these are the typical challenges which a country faces in developing countries. Not only that, there are a lot of other challenges, political, economic, wherein developed countries like Singapore and all, they don't face such challenges because the laws there are very strict. Here we are still trying to, make the laws perfect here, and there are a lot of political issues, as you know.
I mean,
So
it's funny, sorry, let me just come in there. It's funny how politics should come into food supply, because the food industry is probably the largest industry in the world. Like Gary just said, 8 billion people. Why should politics play any role whatsoever?
Wow. Yeah. Politics should not play any role, but we are having some issues. If you see here with the farmers and all, there are a lot of political issues that are coming up. If you read about the Indian farmers, so a lot of that, crop industries and agri-tech industries have been affected by that. So hence these issues need to be sorted. I'm not saying that there political issues, there are opportunities all around the world, like Gary said, and it's a hot sector. And I have also done a lot of investments in this sector. But then, these challenges bring us down most of the time.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Before I go,
Adding on to what Vandana said, and I would give you a perspective on a developing nation. A developing nation's requirement in the food tech would primarily be at the bottom of the value chain, which is about improving farm efficiency, improving food processing from the base to the market to make sure that the food perishability and the supply chain is intact. And more importantly, making sure that per hectare efficiency in terms of dollar per hectare efficiency in terms of growth, and most importantly, resource optimization, either in terms of fertilizers or in terms of capital investments, are optimized. And hence, investments would primarily go in the core of the food technology. Ancillary food technologies, which is typically the e-commerce and the upstream value-added functionalities like your cloud kitchens, would come in, but would come in at a later stage. More important is, especially developing country, if it is a bread basket, then making sure what is produced reaches the market and reaches the end consumer in the right manner at the right time becomes a priority. That's how investments are being done in different parts of the world.
Okay, great. We take rest of the questions after the pitching is done. Let's move on to pitching now. We're just conscious of the time. Thank you so much. Over to you, Gerald, whoever is representing the company today and presenting.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It was actually very interesting to hear everyone present. It felt like it felt like you were talking from, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, right. So it felt like, especially when I heard Kweku and Gary speak, felt like they were reading off of the presentation. So I'll quickly run through it. I'm here to present Spotter. Myself, I am Gerald. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spotter. I'm here with Cedric. He was seen earlier in the program with me. He's the head of crypto. And then there is Joseph, who is the head of finance, just in case there are deep finance questions. So I'm here to discuss Spotter, which is the future of, like, without it in-house, e-commerce. Is location-based, there is speed, trust, and affordability for Africans. What we've discovered as a problem for e-commerce in Africa is that people cannot discover, or people find it difficult, consumers find it difficult to discover real and quality products. And even when they cross this hurdle, there is the next hurdle that they face, which is non-consumption. Africans simply cannot afford to transact or to afford the products and services that they want to consume. And even if they cross this second phase, they are also faced with ineffective and expensive logistics. What we are trying to do with Spotter is to help people discover real and genuine products that are carried by real people. And then we'll also help them to afford to pay for these products and services by giving them cheap financing. And then lastly, we'll help them move their products from point A to point B using third-party delivery agents. What we can see here is a display of the product screen. We'll just put one or two of them so that we don't crowd out the whole presentation slides. But Spotter is going to use for the home screen, like you can see to the left, visual map like the Uber that we are all familiar with, to present what they call it, products, services, businesses, and their locations. And then there is a smart search that is powered by AI and allows, and very interesting because I heard Gary, we already looked him up and we know that he's big on AI. So the smart search uses AI to link people directly. So let's say someone is looking to buy, okay, I'll use food for instance. Someone is looking to have a personalized dinner, for instance, spaghetti, for instance. He can just type in the search bar saying he wants spaghetti, and all the restaurants that are offering spaghetti can send direct quotes in real time to him, and then they can plug in. If you look at it to the right of the screen, you can see the different logistics options, and it is selected based on proximity as well as pricing. And then in the middle screen, like I said, Africans simply cannot afford all of what they want to consume. So just like what is happening in Nigerian e-commerce space, there's a lot of buy now, pay later schemes. So we are going to use a click token, which is the native currency for the Spotter ecosystem, to help Africans afford to pay for their purchases. What does the market look like? We discovered that 172 million mobile subscribers in Nigeria out of the 1 billion mobile subscribers in Africa are very big on commerce. A lot of them are on different platforms like the Jumias, Olist, and Gigi, which you would see in the next screen. But very importantly also is the size of private credit to in Africa, right? And that stands at 60% loan to GDP, which shows that there is actually huge opportunity. But our served market, our primary market as of now is Nigeria, that has a lot of mobile subscriptions. How do we know that Spotter is right as of now? In a world post-COVID, in as much as Spotter was even conceptualized before COVID, we looked and thought that as more and more platforms keep getting developed, and as platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp keep rebranding or reshaping their platforms, right? Social platforms are becoming personalized or adapted for e-commerce. It means that the 20+ million users, which you can see to the left of the screen, Gigi, Olist, and Jumia, which are the biggest classifieds or e-commerce sites in the continent, comprising about 20 million users from the 2020 data that is collected. Realize that many of them, maybe even over 80% from a study we did in-house, actually still sell on WhatsApp. But now, the question remains, how much can social media or social platforms like WhatsApp personalize the experience or the shopping experience, right, to help consumers find the products that they need? You can only do so much. And the reason why a lot of people are moving from, not necessarily moving, but adding WhatsApp to their visibility options is because they want to get closer. So there is a bit of trust that is lacking in the African e-commerce space, and this also explains the reason why companies like OLX, eventually left the market. I would leave that so that I don't take so much time on this slide. But yeah, so what we are looking at to the right of it is now our product offering, which is Spotter, and we'll see in the next slides how Spotter also interfaces all of these other products. Now, our business model is simple. There are 3 revenue streams. One is the premium users. We know that people would definitely want more eyes, more reach, and more power. And take, for instance, like you saw in the product screen, there is a map interface that allows you to see products that are closest to you. Now, for basic users, they can only see a 10-mile radius. But for premium users, they have the option of adding a city locator to even see cities that they are not physically present in, and they can even take advantage of opportunities of products that are listed in there. It starts at $9 for the most basic plan for the premium users, and averages at $60. There is a $99 which is a corporate user, which is for the corporate users, and I would hint about the corporate users in the funding slide. Then the next is the advertising revenue, averaging $80 for about 10,000 impressions. And then there is a tip for our help, right? So if we're going to give a platform that would help give you more eyes and help you put you in the face of consumers and even businesses alike, then we think that you should give us a little. So our average commission is 3.5%. And we are looking at if we are able to get all of this done by 2025, we should have 2.7 million users join us. That's about 3.6% of the current market share. How are we going to do all of this? We plan to execute more events and build on the power of strength of our communities, which has done so well so far. The current size is about 15,000 plus. And we've only just started our marketing. We've bootstrapped the whole time, launched in August. MVP, we've been trying to see if our product offering actually resonates with the consumer. And in all this time, it's been more of research, building our community. And we only just started our marketing about a week, spent only $125 so far the whole time. And we have over 700 requests, and signups went up over 2,000%. Partnerships, we're also going to do a lot of partnerships. And the reason, so when faced with the e-commerce dilemma of who to onboard first, either the consumer or the business, we thought if we onboarded the business, it would cheaper for us, and that is because we'll be onboarding about 8 to 10 users, because the business is not just coming as a business, he's also coming with the consumer. And what will even incentivize them to bring their consumers to us is what you can see in the middle column, the third column, which is our buy now, pay later schemes. Like I said earlier, we'll be using our click token to offer consumers buy now, what they call it, credits, to be able to afford their purchases. So far, so good. We've sold about roughly 55,000 worth of tokens, and like I said, without a single marketing penny. And it was interesting when I heard Mr. Gary talk about bots and social media, right? Improving what they call it, supply value chains, and leaving no demand or supply query unnoticed. And it was, like I said, it was interesting for me because it felt like he was reading out of our pitch, right? And so we also plan to have a lot of bots and messengers work directly with into what they call it, WhatsApp, right? So a lot of Africans are very comfortable, especially on their WhatsApp. So if we really want to serve them, we're not just going to be talking about products that are deep tech or products that are beyond their reach. We want to also make sure that all the supply and demand queries. So if you notice, most people come on social media and they keep asking, who's got the plug? Where can I get this? Who knows how to do this? Who knows where to do that? All of these things will work hand in hand with our smart search to make sure that all these are captured, and then the users get value for that time and then money. And then for the competition slide, like I said, Spotter is solving discoverability and consumption. So as you can see to the left side, when people are able to discover these products, they should also be able to afford it. Most of the competition are not looking to do this. They're not even optimizing their platforms. They just have a list of items that are redundant and maybe not even carried by the vendors anymore. And on the vendor side, vendors we are going to be a part of the vendor growth story, so that you are listening on our platform. You are going to be excited to listen on our platform and to even make sure that your consumers buy on the platform. And there are so many business incentives and consumer incentives that we have tailored around our product offering. I would be willing to take more questions after now. The team is comprised of myself, to the left, as you can see, and to the right is Mr. Cedric, like I introduced, the head of crypto. And we have Mr. Tango Dosaija, who is the CTO and co-founder, and is a senior developer at Andela with 7 years of experience working around the globe. Cointelegraph has featured one of our events that we had, our very first event, matter of fact, in February, shortly before Nigeria went into lockdown. We had over 700 students who were at the event, and they formed in our initial community build. And then Cryptonia Weekly is a strong blog in the UK who approached us and wanted to know more about our product. As for our funding, we are currently worth $5 million pre-money, and we are saying that if we get $1.6 million, we'll use it to develop our tech product, tell more people about it, and make sure that we're on the right side of the law, so that by 2025, we would have 2.7 million users, like I said, and then it would also help us reach $29 million in revenue at that time. I hope I was able to take it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gerald. Good presentation. I must say, very good presentation, right on time. Let's take some questions from the speakers today. You may stop the presentation, screen sharing, because everybody's got a copy of your presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Open for questions now, please.
Yeah, what's your current revenue right now?
So we've had about $55,000, mostly crypto. About 98% of it is from the crypto, because like I said, a lot of the credit market in Africa is huge. A lot of people are excited to hear that they do not need lands and cars and anything to afford to get credit. And that is because we also wanted to go IEO by March, so focus more on it because we have a lean team. But now we are now emphasizing on the main product Spotter. So there's been a lot of, like I said, significant activity on downloads, registrations. We have about 3,000 users, and we have about $2,000 in from Spotter. So everything is about $55,000 in revenue.
And how did you come up with your valuation? How did you come up with the value of the company?
So I have, like I said, that's the reason why I have Joseph here. He's the head of finance. I like to work as a team. So I'd like for Mr. Joseph to answer the question real quick. Joseph.
Yeah, you're on mute, Joseph. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you very much for the question. Well, in coming up with evaluation, what we did basically was to look at all our potential revenue line and our projection, and then we did a discounted cash flow model and using an exit EBITDA multiple of 5x. And then after that, we applied specific discount for lack of marketability and the early startup stage of the business to come up with the $5 million pre-money valuation.
And the money raised, you're trying to raise what, $1.6 million?
Yeah, $1.6 million.
How long is that forecasted to last? What's the run rate for that?
The run rate.
Go ahead,
Go
Joseph.
on, Gerald.
No,
Okay.
go ahead. Fine.
So the run rate for that is the first 12 months. By March, when we have our ICO, we'll also be getting more funding from that, which we plan to invest more in the credit part of the business.
I don't understand. Well, I missed what you said. You're trying to get what after 12 months? What's going to happen?
So the run rate is, the initial run rate for that amount is 12 months. We also have the funding that is going to be coming from the IEO when we offer our coin to the public, which would also be used as part of the money we'll be using to scale and support the credit part of the business as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if I was you, I'd take a look at it. I mean, normally in Silicon Valley, we look at 18 months, right, from the time you're raised. That seems like a small raise. What about your plans to go global? What do you have in terms of going global?
As of now, like I said, the served market, the primary market is Nigeria. As soon as we're able to prove that these products and most of the money that we raise will be used to develop the tech products, as soon as we are sure that we have exactly what the consumers need, especially because all the African market is different from the global market. As soon as we are sure that it works in Nigeria, then we already know it's an easy buy to other African countries. And at that point, we will then be looking at exploring operational partnerships that will get the products in the hands of people across the continent. So we are looking at a medium-term run, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, we should be looking at expanding beyond Africa.
Got it.
Some questions. Okay. You're talking about a 29 million revenue in 2025. You're talking about a 2.7 million shoppers, or 2.7 million customers on your platform. Do you have a route to 2.7 because your revenue is primarily dependent on the number of customers on your platform? How are you going to go from where you are to 2.7 million customers? That's one. Second, what's your cost of acquisition going to be? At the moment, you spoke about zero cost of acquisition, but I'm assuming you're deploying 1.5 million. Now, I would also agree with Gary that 1.5 million on a 5-year revenue of 29 million is going really, really short. You would have looked at a significantly higher contribution in the beginning. But having said that, what part of that money is going to go towards acquiring customers on your platform versus meeting your operating cash flows versus building a tech platform? And third, when do you see your business going cash positive?
Okay, so I was just trying to take the questions down. I don't think I got the first one, but I know the second one. How much of that money would go into marketing and customer acquisition?
So you're talking about 2.7 million customers. How are you going to get those 2.7 million customers? Because only then would your entire venture be viable. And what are your fail-safe limits? What if you get 1.5 million only? What if you get 500 only? Then how does their entire venture pan out?
Okay, so
and Kartik also said the 1.6 million is kind of light to get up to that kind of revenue. So he wanted to take a look at that too. But I heard you right, Kartik.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said in the presentation, for our adoption, we are going to emphasize a lot of community and events. We've seen from what has happened, and that is why our cost of acquisition has been very low. We've seen that, like in Africa, like I wrote in the slide, a lot of Nigerians believe in seeing. So when they see, they believe, right? And then we need to demonstrate that, and it's all in the power of community. Secondly, in Africa, there's a huge credit deficit. A lot of these people are very eager to jump on Spotter because they know, or they think that they know from what we tell them that they would be able to get the credit to afford their purchases. They would buy now, pay later, spread over time. And so that is another strong factor. Then we are also going to be leveraging operational partnerships, right? We want to partner those brands that people cannot do without. So let's say, and that is why I said I was going to talk about our corporate.
Spotify as a business in a different format also exists in the Middle East. There are 4 players in the market offering more or less similar credit platforms. What is going to stop somebody else from entering the market, creating a Me Too product with a better marketing campaign, better route to market, and better offering to a consumer and wean your shoppers away? Because in a 5-year period, I'm sure you will have 2 to 3 shopping cycles with your consumer. So your marketing plan, while you have a beautiful tech platform, your marketing plan needs to be far more robust to make sure that you reach your revenue numbers.
Right. Right. So while we focus on enticing them, because there has to be something to entice the African consumer and as well as other consumers. So while they're enticed to the platform first with the credit that we're offering, like I said, Spotter is going to be using a lot of AI to personalize the shopping experience for these consumers, so that whatever you want, you're going directly, like I said, the smart search, you're going directly to the vendor who is offering it. The vendor is coming directly to you, first anonymously, second, then the next stage will now be for you to know who exactly is offering this product and at what price. So the what do you call it? Our investment, and that is quick leads me to the next question. Most of the investment that comes in will now be one to now initiate the second phase of no, to first of all begin improving our tech. So we're developing our Spotter Oracle that would gather all of this data, crunch it, and present it in real time. Because for instance, what happens with personalization of the, I'll give you an instance. So if I'm traveling between Lagos and Abuja, for instance, in Nigeria, as I'm approaching Lokoja, for instance, let's say midway in the journey, Spotter would be able to send me ads based on my interest and based on the location where I am, what it feels. So we're going to need a Spotter Oracle to crunch all that data in real time. So all the marketing and advertising at that point will now focus on showing the consumers that this product is going to do more for them and help them conveniently consume goods and products and services. So our marketing, most of the money that will come in at that of the raise that will come in will be split majorly between, and that is 80% of it. So 40 will go to our product development, and about 40% also will go to our marketing and advertising. 20% will just be for our regulations and licenses, and that is because Africa is a very funny place, right? So the government wakes up and just comes up with different rules of that. We want to also be ready to respond. And then if we do not raise, and the last question, if we do not raise $1.6 million, let's say we raise $500,000, then we would obviously be prioritizing our tech development and at this point leverage on the enticement point, which is the credit. So when we get those first people, we would then now improve on our community and activities so that more people will get to hear about it. And this has actually proven to work so far so good for us. It's really just been word of mouth.
Any other questions?
I think
Can
to
I-
add
Carry on.
I'll just ask one question. So, if one is trying to become a platform and, that calls for a lot of price-based advantages, as also a lot of marketing, as also, you are not only trying to onboard suppliers, and there has to be valid reasons to onboard suppliers, valid incentives. And you are also trying to be a B2B and B2C play on the consumer side. So, my observation is, again, as what Gary also said and Karthik also said, that probably you are raising too less at this point. But, in the future, you might have to raise more. As of now, 1.5 million won't suffice to, become the platform of choice because, your competition is actually a lot of deep-pocketed players who are going to compete with you and keep on offering better pricing.
Yes. So like we discussed the last time with my finance guy, I think he's having some network issues. As we look at our growth rates as we continue to play in the live environment, then it would help us to inform the amount of time it takes for us to go between different raising rounds.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions, please? Harsh, you had a question?
Yeah, Gerald, there's one thing which I would like to ask you. You mentioned that the customer acquisition cost is zero, right? However, normally what happens is there's always a cost either in terms of money or time. So I would suggest, even if you're spending time, quantify that as a cost as well, because that will kind of give you an idea how much time are you spending and is it worth it to acquire that customer or not. So just one thing which I would like to clarify over there. Additionally, I wanted to ask which sector are you operating in? Are you operating in product segment, or are you operating in services? Because in the competition slide over there, I saw a lot of players, including Fiverr. Now, Fiverr is a services marketplace, whereas other players are like a product marketplace. So which segment are you focusing on primarily?
It's kind of like a mixed platform. So we like to call it a gig economy play. And that is because on our platform, you would find both products and services.
So, because I would suggest it's extremely important to prioritize one, especially when you're focusing on these big players, right? If there are already big players in the market, it's extremely important to prioritize one sector first, become the dominant player in that sector so that people know you as a company for that segment, and then you can always expand.
Yes.
So Amazon started as a book supplier and then expanded it into other segments, right? Something along those lines you can get it, because if you start everything from the beginning, right, your value proposition is not clear. For the customer, it will be extremely confused experience, right? So you need to identify that which sector you would like to prioritize in, firstly, and secondly, identify your true CAC, because if you're not spending it in ads, you're spending it in time, right? And the time has money. So you need to try to quantify that as well.
Right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harsh. I'd just like to chip in if you 1 second. So yes, that's a very good feedback. So yes, as of now, most of our operational partnership, like I said in the adoption slide, most of our adoption strategy for partnership focuses on the operational partners. We are talking to product companies, especially those products that consumers cannot, that like they want almost every time or even at odd hours. So we are talking to people like Diageo, who are in the alcohol segment, and even Coca-Cola Nigerian Bottling Company, for instance, to see how we can leverage. And just because of time, I didn't get enough time to discuss how, because our product also does a good play in the B2C, right? Especially in terms of the value chain, supply value chain. But I'm sure maybe later I can send a detailed pitch deck to everyone. So, but yes, so for now we are prioritizing on the products and focusing on those products that consumers cannot do without, so that will give them a reason to have the Spotter app in their hands.
Okay.
And then, yes,
so we can connect all of you together of VCTV hours. Last question from Kweku and take closing remarks. So just running short of time. Thank you.
Yeah, I see we are running out of time, so I'll just make it more of a remark than a question. So I completely agree with Harsh in terms of focusing on a specific sector, at least at the beginning level. And I was actually thinking of food is one one opportunity on the continent is the small mom and pop shops out there. People like to eat food on the roadside. That is an opportunity as well to sort of gather all those guys together and sort of connect them, with the motorbike riders as well, and sort of find that niche there. The other one is also fashion as well. A lot of women love to buy, as wigs, clothes, just off of WhatsApp. My mom just did it right now. My sister, that they go through Instagram, find a guy, and then sort of get the clothes from there, and then they bring it to them. So that those two are probably the most interesting places to sort of focus on at that level. And then the other side, the other remark is obviously the regulatory aspect on the crypto side. I don't know if I understand why you want to get in there. I guess sort of future-proofing your concept, and as well, being able to raise capital as well through an ICO. But obviously, as you grow in that side, the regulators' eyeballs will sort of come on you, and I hope you have a sort of pathway to navigate that efficiently.
Thank you very much, Kweku. I agree with you.
Sorry, Gerald. I guess because of time, we'll have to go to the closing remarks from Kweku and round up here because we are out of time.
All right.
Yeah, I can always connect with Gerald and Kweku offline. Is that okay? I hope that's okay, right, Kweku?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Let's take some closing remarks. Let's start with Vandana.
Thank you once again for calling me to this platform. My closing remarks are really small. I would just say that all food tech companies and e-commerce companies and agri-tech companies looking out for investments, please reach out to me. We are investing heavily in this sector, and even cloud kitchens do reach out to me. I'm available on www.convanto.com.
Great, thank you. William, closing remarks, please.
Hi, good evening all. Thanks again to LaToken. So we want to cover the whole value chain from upstream to downstream, from farm to fork. So if we're looking for partners, investors, and also of course customers. So looking forward to hearing from you again. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Tushar, please.
Thank you, Sunny, and thank you everyone else. I would say that we have a very good handle on all type of food tech companies. right in two ways. One is up to $5 million fundraise, and the other one is from $5 million to $25 million. We have closed two food tech deals. One is a $10 million deal and one is a $25 million deal. So most welcome to approach me through my LinkedIn and or consultancy.com. That's my website. And thank you all once again.
Perfect. Thank you, Karthik.
Till the time human beings are there on this planet, food tech is always going to grow because our demands are always growing. So I think there's going to be ample investments in this space, and happy to support anybody who needs any always.
Perfect. Thank you, Harsh.
As Karthik just mentioned, food tech will always have space for innovation, particularly in the logistics space, right? So looking forward to see some interesting ventures over there. And anytime you need help, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Harsh Shetia. If you're looking for funds or you need help in structuring your business model or help with growth, we can have a casual conversation anytime.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this invitation. Want to thank all specialists here. So please reach me on LinkedIn anytime. And we especially have a focus about adoption of projects from classic economy and blockchain spheres, so we can combine it together and adopt to the real product market and to crypto market also.
Thank you, Dimitri. Gary.
Yeah, these are exciting times. And of course, with the increased population and the need to be able to get the right product at the right place at the right time, it's a great opportunity. I like the presentation today. It's interesting and exciting. So you can reach me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler. You can reach me on Twitter. I love to hear from you. I've got a couple of shows if you want to check it out. Actually, one today. So love to participate. So let me know. Sounds great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary. And I'm going to connect Gerald with Kweku soon after the show. Anything from you, Nathaniel, before we close the show?
No, I'm just pretty excited for the project, and I really learned a lot about the biggest industry in the world, the food tech industry. And I look forward to seeing everybody again on another topic.
Same here. I look forward to see you again tomorrow.